the star of the show. She has arrived in all of her glory, in all of her sprayed edges. These are vampire fantasy romance books. That's really all I know. It seems very cottagecore though, which we love. It sounds so unhinged in the best way. Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new, and I'm so stinking excited that you're here. We are doing a birthday book haul in this video, which I'm so excited for. I have been on a book buying ban for the last 6 months, basically, like after December. Oh my gosh, we have so many books to talk about. So we have a lot of fantasy to talk about with some other genres sprinkled in. So I hope that you're excited. If you are, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let's talk about some books. Leave chapters down below if there's a certain genre, because there are a couple different genres and then different types of fantasy romance. We're gonna start with the books that I'm currently reading, because why not? That seems like a good place to start. So I'm currently reading Children of Fallen Gods, which is the second book in the War of Lost Hearts series. And then I also have the third finale book in this series as well, which is Mother of Death and Dawn. We need to take a moment of silence for how gorgeously stunning and breathtaking these covers are. I'm sorry, the cover artist deserves an A+. At the very least, a round of applause, because these are so gorgeous. The first book in the series is Daughter of No Worlds, which I read a couple months ago. And I need to get the physical copy of that one. I read it on my Kindle because all of Carissa Broadbent's books are on Kindle Unlimited, if you're wondering about her books. Absolutely read them. She's an incredible author. This series follows our main character, Tisana. She starts off as a slave and she escapes slavery. She ends up going to a different land and seeking help from kind of their like government slash military, and she makes a deal with them to help them with something that they want if they help her return to her land and rescue the other slaves that are there. Tisana is a hero, a heroine in every sense of the word. She is so compassionate and she just wants to help her land. She wants to help her people. She really wants to make the world a better place, and she is just the most incredible, depthful character. Like, we love her so much. Her journey to master her magical powers, the magic system in this book is so incredible, and the romance is so good. It is so, so good. These books definitely have a much more serious tone and mood to them, so it's not a series that's a super silly goofy time. There's a good balance between serious and lighthearted moments. At least there was in the first book. I'm almost halfway through the second book, and I'm not gonna lie, it's getting much more serious. I've heard that the third book is absolute pain, and I need to emotionally prepare myself. These are the first two books in this book haul. Speaking of Carissa Broadbent, let's just continue with her for a moment in time. I got the first two books in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. So we have Serpent and the Wings of Night, which was so kindly gifted to me by my friend Nikki. Thank you so much, Nikki. And The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which was so kindly gifted to me by Rachel from Raven-Haired Reader. So thank you so, so much. Everyone that I mentioned, I will leave their channels, if they have a YouTube channel, linked in the description box below if you're curious, because they're so amazing. Everyone who sent me something, you literally made me feel so special. Thank you so much. This is a series that I think is even more popular and blowing up even more so than the War of Lost Hearts trilogy. These are vampire fantasy romance books. That's really all I know so far, so I will leave it there. But everyone and their mother is talking about these books lately, and I can't wait to read them. I was absolutely overdosing on fantasy books, and I decided that I needed to switch it up a little bit. We do have Summerween coming up very soon, so I ended up picking up My Best Friend's Exorcism. This is by First Grady Hendrix, which is a crime, and I apologize. I've been meaning to read him for so long, and then I've just been prioritizing other books over his. So I purchased it physically, which means we're gonna get to it. This book follows high school sophomores Abby and Gretchen. They've been best friends since 4th grade, but after an evening of skinny dipping goes dangerously wrong, Gretchen begins to act different. She's moody, she's irritable, and bizarre incidents keep happening whenever she's nearby. Abby's investigation leads her to some startling discoveries, and by the time their story reaches its terrifying conclusion, the fate of Abby and Gretchen will be determined by a single question. Is their friendship powerful enough to beat the devil? I love summer read. And then the other horror book that I got is kind of a horror novella. It's less than 200 pages, and that is Dark Harvest by Norman Partridge, who is the winner of the Bram Stoker Award. Also another like really cool cover. Besides this permanent sticker, we're just going to ignore that. But the permanent sticker says that this is now a major motion picture. I looked this up because I was like, I don't remember seeing anything about this movie being released. It was supposed to be released in September of 2022. And maybe it got pushed back or like something. If you guys know about the movie, please let me know. We're in 1963 during Halloween. They call him October Boy or Ol' Hacksaw Face or Sawtooth Jack. Whatever the name, everybody in the small Midwestern town knows who he is and how he rises from the cornfields every Halloween, a bloody butcher knife in his hand, and makes his way towards the town, where gangs of teenage boys eagerly await their chance to confront the legendary nightmare. Both the hunter and the hunted, the October Boy is the prize in an annual rite of life or death. So it seems really cool. Like there's this creature, this jack-o'-lantern creature that rises from the cornfields every fall, and the teenage boys of the town have to kill him or be killed. Yes. 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This was sent to me by Cami from Burrows and Books. Thank you so, so much. This is a book I've been meaning to get to and read for literally so long. Like obviously this book is not a new release by any means. I've been meaning to get to it. But the cover on this one also, I mean, there's a theme here. In this book, our main character has forbidden magic that's running through her veins, which always causes trouble. On the morning of her betrothal ceremony, Shiori loses control of it, forestalling the wedding she never wanted, but also catching the attention of Raikama, her stepmother. A sorceress in her own right, Raikama banishes the young princess, turning her brothers into cranes and warning Shiori that she must speak of it to no one, for with every word that escapes her lips, one of her brothers will die. Penniless, voiceless, and alone, Shiori searches for her brothers and uncovers a dark conspiracy to seize the throne. Juicy. I'm sure that a lot of y'all have already read this book. I'm just behind on the times that I need to read it, catch up with it. And there's also The Dragon's Promise, and this is a duology. The star of the show, she has arrived in all of her glory, in all of her sprayed edges, in all of her notoriety. Everyone is talking about this book right now. I need to hop on the hype train. And this book was sent to me by Joanna. Thank you so much, Joanna. I can't wait to read this. I know very little going into this book outside of the fact that it is a fantasy romance. I've heard it hangs on a massive cliffy. The next book gets released, I think in November, like later this year. So shout out to Rebecca Yaros for being a fan favorite and not making us wait a million years for the next book in the series, literally 2 in 1 year. And there's dragons. So I'm probably gonna try to read this book in June for the Once Upon a Readathon because I'm on Team Pirates. I'm a team captain for Team Pirates. I will leave information for Once Upon a Readathon linked down below as well if you would like to join us. But this book would attack Team Dragons and subtract points from them. And it sounds stunning. And then the final book in this little section is The Poison Season by Mara Rutherford. Another stunning moment for another stunning cover. I purchased this not knowing too much about the actual plot of this book. It seems very cottagecore though, which we love. But I recently read A Multitude of Dreams by Mara Rutherford. A Multitude of Dreams is a book that's getting released in September, I think, or October. I got it as an ARC and fell in love. It was a 5-star read for me. It was so incredible, and I was like, all right, say less. I am reading all of the backlist for this author. And so, The Poison Season. This is a YA fantasy, and honestly, I've been reading a lot of adult fantasy romance, a lot of adult fantasy in general lately, and my brain is screaming for a break. So I think that this will be a really nice, quick, fast, fun read. We're gonna go into lit fic next. I have 2 that I am so so excited for. I have been in such a litfic mood lately, and I have not been letting my mood reader tendencies take over because I've been so deep in fantasy lately. The first is called Big Swiss by Jen Viagen. That sounds wrong, but I don't know how to say her last name and I do apologize. This is a litfic that follows a sex therapist's transcriptionist, and this transcriptionist gets obsessed with one of their clients during their sessions, and she starts to have an affair with this specific patient. That's all I'm gonna say. It sounds so unhinged in the best way. The next one in my litfic category is When We Lost Our Heads by Heather O'Neill. Heather O'Neill, you can tell, has an amazing sense of humor because on the hardcover of the book, it says H-O, which are her initials, but it's also Ho, and that is just the funniest thing ever to me. This book follows two friends who have a very seemingly toxic relationship. So we have charismatic Marie Antoine. She's the daughter of the richest man in the 19th century in Montreal. She has everything she wants except for a best friend until clever scheming Sadie Arnett moves into the neighborhood. Immediately united by their passion and intensity, Marie and Sadie attract and repel each other in ways that thrill them both. Their games soon become tinged with risk, even violence. Forced to separate by the adults around them, the two spend years engaged in acts of alternating innocence and depravity. And when a singular event brings them back together, the dizzying effects will upend the city. And then the tagline for this is, every decent friendship comes with a drop of hatred, but that hatred is like honey in the tea. It makes it addictive. So as you can tell, very toxic, a lot of back and forth. The fact that their friendship gets to like violence and the adults in their lives are like, y'all can't be together anymore. And then they just get together again. Like, this sounds like a fun time. My last four books all have to do with pirates, obviously, because like I mentioned, me and Maggie from Maggie's Books and Stuff are the captains for Team Pirates in the Once Upon a Readathon, which is a readathon that takes place the entire month of June. I have an announcement video that I did for it that I'll link down below. I will also link other information as well. It's a readathon that was created by Hannah Blackwell. So obviously I had to buy some books in preparation for the readathon. I did talk about all of these books more specifically in my summer book recommendations video, so I will link that video up above and down below as well, because in that video I'm gonna go into more depth than what I will now, since I've already talked about them a little bit. The first book that we have is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This, in a sentence, is spicy Pirates of the Caribbean. It's everything that we ever wanted in the spice for Pirates of the Caribbean. And I really didn't need to hear more than that. I haven't been reading a lot of spicy books lately. I feel like I kind of put it on pause because I'm gonna go over the deep end with pirate spicy romantasy books in June. Then we have Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. I don't know why this is shrink wrapped, so I just haven't taken it off yet. This has such high ratings. Everyone who's read this book has told me that it's absolutely incredible. It's the first book in a series, which I fully intend to read. It's another one that I've been meaning to get to for a really long time. Heard that our main character is like a lady Jack Sparrow. So just fully unhinged, super fun. We love to see it. I have no words to describe how excited I am for this one. This is Dark Shores by Danielle Jensen. The Bridge Kingdom is one of my favorite enemies to lovers ever written, and I recommend it to everybody. I was shooketh to my coreth when I found out that Danielle Jensen had written a pirate fantasy series. We follow a couple different POVs in here, I think 2 POVs between Marcus and Tariana. Tariana is a sailor with a will of iron. Marcus is a soldier with a secret, and they have to go on a dangerous quest together. An Empire senator discovers the existence of the Dark Shores, and he captures Tariana's crew and threatens to reveal Marcus's secrets unless they sail in pursuit of conquest, forcing the two into an unlikely and unwilling alliance. Danielle Jensen just does everything so right. Her books are usually very political, at least The Bridge Kingdom. It was a very enemies to lovers, but it was a very realistic fantasy. Like, there weren't too many fantastical elements about it. but everything that she does, it's just so easy to fall right into her worlds, to fall right in love with her characters, and her romances have me screaming, crying, and throwing up. And this is the first book in a series as well. The second book is Dark Skies. And then the last book that I'm going to talk about is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. Another cover that just makes me want to cry at its beauty. I had to buy this because it is a pirate story and I wanted to read it in June for Once Upon a Readathon. Now, I read that this is a standalone book, so it does take place in the Cosmere universe. And he says that it will appeal to fans of The Princess Bride. Absolutely, say less. But then one of my friends told me that this is the last book that you should read of his because there's kind of spoilery elements with other characters in his universe. Now, that's very confusing to me because it says that it's a standalone, meaning like you wouldn't have to be familiar with anything to go into it. But what she told me was when it's following up on characters and stuff like that, I'm just gonna have no idea what's going on because I've never read anything by Brandon Sanderson before. So she was like, you might just find those parts a little bit boring and be like, what's happening? Like, what's going on? Which is fine with me. I'm gonna read it. I think it'll be fun to get introduced to Brandon Sanderson's writing. There are other books that I do want to read by him as well. I think it's called Warbreaker. That's also kind of a standalone and a good introduction to his Cosmere. I want to read this one. So I don't know, I'm going to. It's so beautiful as well. Like, look at these end pages. This will be the encouragement I need to continue with other books by him, if that makes sense. Because he's a very intimidating fantasy author for me. And I think that's another reason why I haven't picked up any of his books yet. That being said, my friends, that was the last and final book in this video. I hope that you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below, have you read any of these books? Are any of these books on your TBRs? Let me know. Let me know if you're gonna be participating in Once Upon a Readathon. I'm so excited for that to start. I think it's gonna be such a fun time. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the comments and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!